Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to the disclaimers in a moment. Just a brief rant. Every once in a while, depending on the computer that I'm using when I do these vids, one of these computers decides to slowly drive me completely and utterly insane for no apparent reason or cause. So if I sound a little bit short when starting this video, that's why. I had it on. I came over here to turn on my software so I can go ahead and record this video, and it was trying to tell me that my webcam was not plugged in. It was plugged in, folks. I have not unplugged it at any point in time. So I restarted it. Open it up again, do the same thing. Webcam is not popping up. I finally got it working now for the third time, but God, these are why the invention of kickboxing body bags and punching bags are a beautiful thing. Because, yeah, I really sound like an army brat when I have to deal with that. I really do. Alright, to shoot through it, we're doing the other half of the paragraph that we started earlier. Mostly because the way the JRC is responding in this, you have to stop so many times, reread, go back, clarify, what have you, that I do think it's just going to be easier that way. So we're going to be doing that. But now to the disclaimers. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, pertinent links are right there inside the description box, including the threat in regards to Neuroclastic's article where they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Also linked in there is them dealing with the threat of a defamation lawsuit that the JRC made because they don't want you to read that article. And also in there is our GoFundMe in case the JRC ever finds the gonads to actually see through with that threat. When we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center, Agape Boarding School for Boys, and all their parent schools that stretch all the way from California to New Jersey within the Bible Belt, you're going to hear some vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you do have young children present, please utilize the headphones. This channel is indeed marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity and speak on some pretty dark subjects. If your kid is 16 and younger and watching this, I very stringently urge you, parental supervision is something that we do advise on here. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center is known as one of the worst places on planet Earth in regards to their extreme victim blaming, the character assassination that they get up to, particularly what we're reading through right now, their inability to ever provide context in regards to literally anything, but in regards to what's relevant here in particular, not giving you more information in regards to what's going wrong, what's going on when the students are engaging in these behaviors. So prepare yourselves for that. These people love to make money off of our pain and suffering. So be prepared, all right? Okay, so we are going to where we left off. GA's severe AB included attacking family members, teachers, and other caretakers by hitting, headbutting, and biting them. I'm going to ask for the millionth time, what is the context of this information? What is going on at the time when these behaviors are occurring? And yes, I need exact details. Most of us have sensory issues of one kind or another. Sometimes we are dealing with extreme social issues and social problems. Sometimes, and particularly when we're talking schools here, it is generally provoked because we're pretty much pigeonholed as bully bait from the first time we set foot inside a public school. So where's the context? JRC. Oh no, they just hit their parents. Okay. When these incidents are taking place, the times where they are attacking people, where are they? What is going on in that time period? What's going on in the environment around them? And why is it you continuously refuse to ever ask that? Actually answer that question. For the billionth time, behaviors do not come out of nowhere. If anyone knows this, I really am Exhibit A here. Okay? I am not in any way, shape, or form condoning the behavior of putting one's hands on their family members. Okay? Believe me when I say I have dealt with some very, very sensitive and severe cases where I have literally gone out with the full team to figure out and investigate what's going on and why is it getting worse. So, I don't need anyone coming and pointing the finger at me telling me I don't understand for the 20 billionth time, because the fact of the matter is I do. I've worked in this field. I exhibited the same types of behavior in my youth. I have dealt with others who've done the same, as well as worked with others that were having those behaviors at the time. That is why I know what is going on, where is it happening, is deeply pertinent information if you're going to get to the bottom of why these behaviors are occurring. And newsflash, crazily enough, the punishment model does not in any way, shape, or form whatsoever help you to get to the bottom of what's causing the behaviors in the first place. It's just punishment. There is no alternative behaviors or ways of communication that are encouraged here. There is not enough information given to us so that we would have all the facts to work together in regards to alleviating at least somewhat what is provoking that very violent behavior. It is once again, as always, blaming the victim with as minimal additional information as humanly possible. This is being written the way that it is for character assassination and victim blaming. No more, no less. What particularly convinces me of this is, again, there is no context or no additional information that is being given to us while they read out all these behaviors whatsoever. You want to get to what's causing these issues and actually make the changes and adjustments that will actually help, and have the kind of help that will help us and continue to assist us as we go into adulthood and middle age. Provide the full context. All and any details, no matter how big or small, are pertinent. including things that neurotypicals wouldn't even think about. Okay? I can't do anything here with a list of behaviors, the character assassination, and the victim blaming when the JRC is not providing any further information. Because you can't. You legitimately can't. This is on purpose. It solves two things. They can get you to believe that we're so batshit out of control that the only thing that will actually work is extreme restriction and abuse. It's a lot easier to do that if they do not provide any kind of additional details so that we might have a better picture of what's going on at the time that is provoking the behavior. Because if you don't have that information, you can't address that trigger. If you can't address that trigger, the behavior will remain and happen again. Now, that is true across the board, whether JRC wants to admit it or not. These behaviors are never going to disappear entirely, and they are still going to rear their ugly head through us throughout our lives. That's just reality. But when things are done correctly, those moments tend to be so rare that I've literally gone years between major meltdowns. Literally years. Okay? Because when I was as bad, quote unquote, as some of these kids that they are providing for you here while providing you with no context, my team literally sat me in a room, sat in front of me, and started asking me, not my parent, but literally me, what was going on in that moment, including instructing me to tell any small details, even if they seem unimportant. Okay? Once more information was given, we were better able to understand what was going on. Not just for the treatment team itself, but for me to also realize what it was in that moment that provoked that very bad behavior. And there were some doozies. Okay? There was some really bad ones, scary ones. I am lucky to be alive, let's just put it that way. But we did it the right way. We didn't go for the quick, miraculous fix. We didn't go down the punishment model. We handled it the way it should be. They didn't go away automatically. As I told you all earlier in the earlier video, sometimes, depending on what the interventions are for what issue, it can take years, literally years, before you start seeing results and you start seeing those positive changes. But it works. And without them at my team acting like they have for all the years since I was correctly re-diagnosed at 18, that's how I'm able to do as well as I'm doing now. Context matters. Behaviors don't come from nowhere. If you really want to actually help someone in regards to dealing with our more dangerous side of our diagnosis, information is key. Details are key. And then conversations. Not being thrown into another program, but conversations with your treatment program, your circle of support, the people who are kind of placed strategically to help you out in the community should you ever need it. That's the one part of the plan that I've got to successfully close and haven't really needed since age 25, but it did help me a great deal back in the beginning of it all. That's how you bring a reduction to those behaviors. Because then you can address the problem. If it is sensory issues, we start looking at interventions in regards to that. Again, in particular, that's why small details matter. Because sometimes, especially when I was younger, I really could be so physically affected by a particular sound that it would actually cause my physical health to go haywire. Not kidding. That's a real thing. Whether it was busting in the hives that wouldn't go away for like 3 weeks, whether it was severe stomach issues, extreme vertigo. I remember I was doing a presentation up at Burrell, and out of nowhere, the room began to tilt, and I lost my ability to walk upright or hold my own weight. And every time I moved, I became violently sick. It was a sensory issue within the building, in particular in the room where I was giving that presentation, that caused that reaction. Some sensory issues have been so bad that, yeah, I have lashed out physically, very dangerously so, I might add. Yeah, these things matter. But did you try to assault your parents? No. There's a reason though. When these things were going on, both my mom and my stepdad worked full time. My stepdad was a truck driver that would be out on the road for weeks. My mom worked full time, literally in healthcare, folks, in ERs. So the majority of the time, it was just us kids in the house. So the individuals that were being affected by my behaviors were not my parents, it was my siblings. My brother, my stepbrother, and my stepsister. I've gone over with you guys some of that. Context, however, still mattered. What made me violently lash out in that way? Or get so depressed and just go down and become almost not really catatonic? I don't know how to describe it. Every detail matters. Behavior does not come out of nowhere. If you really want to address those behaviors so you can reduce both their severity and how often that they happen, information is key. Without it, nothing's getting addressed. And a punishment model where someone inflicts you with physical pain instead of helping you work and deal with the issue is not going to help. It's not a miraculous cure. It sends you on that same spiral I've talked to you all about so many times. Physical violence upon the person. Masking for a long period of time. Becoming too exhausted, be able to continue to hold up the mask. Behaviors come back out. Punishment model punishes. And over and over and over again, because the punishment model does not address what's causing the behavior. And because it does not address it, it doesn't get rid of the behavior. It does not lessen the intensity of the behavior, and it doesn't bring down the number of times that you're dealing with that behavior. Okay? Because it can't. It can't teach you alternative coping skills. It can't teach you alternative ways of communicating in some very different situations depending on what's going on in the time. The punishment model just punishes. That's all it does. So nothing in actuality is really being dealt with. You can tell me all day long that I'm doing something and that it's wrong. If I do not understand, first off, what I'm doing that is wrong, so that I can take stock of what's going on around me at the time, then I have no way to address it. Okay? I'm not telling you that it is not horrible when families live in those types of situations. Haven't both been that kid, as well as acting in official capacity to help parents address those types of behaviors. Exactly. I'm telling you, punishing us for things that are not under our control is not an answer. Punishment, instead of giving us the tools to be able to work through the problem and take care of it ourselves with some additional help, if we don't do that, those behaviors and inclinations don't go away. You can't beat, shock, torture, starve, or sleep deprive the disability out of us. Okay? And although I am sad to hear that he held his mom around the neck and punched her in the face, and that he threw his younger sister across the room, I'm not telling you these are wonderful things. I've been that kid, and I've been the victim and survivor of my stepbrother who acted in that manner. Okay? Do you think the answer would have been to put him on a human shock collar? Or hell, let's do two for the price of one and send both of our asses there. That would have surely took care of the problem, right? No, it wouldn't have. It would have gotten worse. And I guarantee you, one of us would have ended up dead. Alright? You can tar and feather people all you want to. But in situations like this, where you have someone who has this type of diagnosis, who has had these behavioral problems, as well as being someone who has worked in this field, I can tell you, you can solve absolutely nothing without having all information on hand. And I can also tell you from lived experience in regards to punishment or being abused. You really think that horrific abuse I went through as a kid helped me deal with any of my issues being autistic? No, it made it worse. I ended up with some severe anger management issues, severe self loathing, extreme depression. Yeah, because it doesn't work. Because of that, those behaviors intensified, became more in number, and got worse. Quite frankly, I think it's only by the grace of God Himself that we all managed to survive during that time period. There are extreme situations for people who carry my diagnosis, particularly those of us who have comorbid conditions. To try to use punishment as a means of control to stop the behavior cannot work. Because one will only stop the behavior long enough to appease people. But if what's causing that behavior is continuously not dealt with, it's going to come back and come back and come back. And it will intensify because the resentment that we have because of those punishments. All right, folks, we're going to go ahead and close out for tonight. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time, so please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and please, folks, don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this evening, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea very much do hope you have a good one. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye, everyone.